Had a subscriber say, hey, Sean, new subscriber, a former listener of Keeping It 100 with Conan. I would like your side of the story of Billi Bhatti because I don't feel like he was being honest about it. Okay, so I intentionally saved this for the very end because I want people who do not give a shit about it, do not care about it, to have the ability to go away, hit the X button, whatever, because I know that some of you don't give a shit. And this will be the last time I ever discuss Billi Bhatti on one of our shows again because he is a clout vampire. And I know that he is going to see this and hear this. And how do I know that he is going to see and hear this? Because Billi Bhatti is and has been for years a Fightful Select subscriber. Billi Bhatti pays $5 a month to likely watch this live stream with all the wonderful people that also do that. Now, he does it under a burner. That way we can't ban him or anything like that. But here's the long and short of it. I only knew of Billi Bhatti as a guy who made up wrong news, got fired from Wrestling Inc. in an hour. They hired him and fired him in one morning. And just an overall bad guy. He said racist, homophobic, transphobic, is every type of bigot you could possibly be. Every bit of it. That's how I knew him. Wanted nothing to do with him. Never really approached him. Never really talked about him. I don't give a shit about him. At some point, I had listeners of Keeping It 100 and other shows mention that he would say on his Twitter and on these shows that he would attack me whether I was looking or not if we ever saw each other, and that he would punch me in the back of the head on sight. Well, all right. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not an intimidating guy, anything like that. I did some training back in the day to take care of myself. I'm not like an aggressive person interpersonally. And I ain't fighting over wrestling. That's like the dumbest shit ever, right? But if somebody says that stuff to you in a public forum and they're going to make themselves available at a place that you are, well, I definitely don't believe in giving them the opportunity to do that. So again, I had never seen this guy before. The limit of our interactions was me dunking on him on Twitter over horrible racist stuff that he said, but there were a lot of threats there. There were a lot of like really veiled, like, oh, I'll be seeing you type of threats towards women, especially people associated with our site. It was very, very weird. So I was at StarCast, and I was there with my wife, who I don't put on screen because weirdos on the internet, right? Somebody messaged me and they said, did you know that Billi Bhatti is here? And I said, oh, really? So my line of thinking is this person said he was going to jump me, said he was going to punch me in the back of the head on sight, no matter what. His quote, not mine. I'm not going to give him that opportunity. So I positioned myself where he would walk by me, where he would look at me, and he looked at me and he continued to walk past me. I said, okay, I see what this guy's about. So I walked up to him. I spun him around. I said, do we have a fucking problem? At some point during this exchange, Brian Zane, who I've met a couple times, we aren't like close or anything, pulled out his phone and started recording. There was absolutely 0 times, and this is on footage, 0 times Billi Bhatti told me to go outside as he claimed. Never. His kid was nowhere to be seen as he claimed. Don't know what else to tell you. He often posts a picture of him doing this and saying, this is me telling you to go outside. Well, Billy, the full video does exist. And I asked Brian, hey man, let's maybe not put that out there. I was at work. That shouldn't have happened anyway, but let's not put that out there. My wife's in the video. I don't want her associated with this bullshit. She's got a regular job. She already got weirdos, messaging her and her work and all that stuff. But in that video, it shows him doing this. This is him saying, oh, what about all that stuff where you called me racist and transphobic? And I said, well, you are. You are a racist. You say horrible racist things about Will. He calls Will a coconut, which is brown on the outside, white on the inside. He has said horrible racist shit to Raj. He replied with, "Oh, I'm brown, dickhead. How can I be racist?" Well, I don't know. Maybe you're a fucking magician, but you're racist. Objectively racist. Swerve Strickland has called him out for it numerous times. Tons of wrestlers have called him out for it. He's every type of bigot. He has threatened disabled people. He's threatened women, all that. During the course of our conversation, he kept on bringing up woke and talked about how broke I am and all this stuff. And I was like, well, it's interesting. I had WWE talent like talking about how you were creeping on their hotel. Well, he says, and I quote, "Well, that's because I'm not broke like you. I can afford to stay at the Talent Hotel." We'll get back to that later. So this ends after about 5 minutes. Conrad hits me up. People from Starcast hit me up, and they're like, "You good? Everything good? Fuck him. We can kick him out if you want." I said, "No." I was like, if his kid is here, let him enjoy it. Let him enjoy it. Now, Billi did a show with Brad shortly after this. And another media member was like, "Listen, I would never subject you to this, but I want you to hear this." And it was Billy's own kid who, again, I encourage everybody, don't say anything negative about the kid. He can't help it that he's got a shitty dad. Don't go for his kid. That's not fair. Billi tried to use his kid as an excuse, and his kid goes, "Oh, no, Dad, I had sat down ages before that, well away from it." And Billi went, oh, okay. And they didn't even edit it out. But I'll tell you what they did edit out of that Brad Shepard podcast. Billi going on this insane transphobic rant, and then there's this abrupt jump cut, and then it goes to Brad going, "So what you're trying to say is," because Billi had went on some psychotic rant. So I had people associated with Billi and his show that were calling me, and they were thanking me. I had wrestlers thanking me for it, but that wasn't even it, because the next day it got worse. A year prior to that, Killer Cross, Karrion Kross, I think he was reviewing his own film, is what he had told me. And there was a clip that came up, and it was Billi talking about Scarlett and saying some really horrible, hurtful, untrue things. And Disco Inferno trained Cross. Like they're still close to this day. So, this guy on this show, he's going to remember that. So he didn't forget Billi, what he looked like, all that. Billy's at Starcast the next day. They're in line for Scarlett and Cross. Billy's hanging out at the back of the line. This was all told to me directly by Cross. He said the kid comes up and he recognized Billi, who was hanging around the end of the line. And he was like, "You know what? Same thing as me." It's like, you know what? Let the kid enjoy it. Who cares? But then the kid got sent back up front to say, "Oh, we're friends with Conan. We're buddies with him. That's my dad." And then he was like, "All right, motherfucker." And he brought Billi Batty up to him. And from what he and Scarlett told me, Billi issued the most pathetic apology that they had ever seen. All right. So that happened as well. Later that night, he had tried to sneak backstage multiple times at Flair's last match and got kicked out multiple times, including a situation in which people told me that Scarlett was like, "If nobody gets this guy out of here, Kevin might kill him." So that should tell you where things go from there. So as a result of this, some clips had emerged. I wasn't keen on that myself, but some clips are out there. You would always hear people say, "Oh, look at Sean trying to be a tough guy." My ideal situation there is just leave me the fuck alone. Don't talk about me. Or at least don't make, physical threats, because my mantra in that sense is keep the same energy you do online. Now, I'll hear people say, "Well, Sean, you drop in people's DMs. Am I sensitive? Am I thin-skinned? Am I defensive?" Absolutely. You will never hear me say anything different than that. But if put in that same situation, I guarantee I'll say the same thing to you. And by put in that same situation, I mean you say some wildly out of pocket shit for absolutely no reason. Well, then, yeah, you can expect that same type of attitude in person. The difference is when people get in person, they're like, all that weird shit that I said for so long doesn't really sound as good out loud. So they don't end up doing it. They end up, having basic human instincts and being like, yeah, that'd be pretty fucking weird if I said that out loud to another person that I've never met and was mad about over wrestling. All right. So this all in addition, mind you, to the fact that very night he got a little saucy with Cassidy Haynes of bodyslam.net, and Cassidy said, listen, we can do it. And Cassidy went and waited for him at his hotel, and Billi didn't show. Billi also got suspended from Twitter that week for being a racist piece of shit. So listen, you can dislike me all you want. That's fine. I completely get it based on some of my conduct, but I don't know. Man. So it's like, all right, man. That happens. That is what it is. But that wasn't the end of it. He's gone after Will. He's gone after Will's kids. He said more racist shit. And then there was a thing at WrestleMania week, which I didn't see in there. But he got kicked off of the Keeping It 100 show, or just not used, whatever. He'd always made these weird tweets at our friend Share Delaware and all that stuff. And he had posted, hey, I'm staying at the WrestleCon hotel. You motherfuckers are smelly, that type of thing. Whatever. Cher was staying at the Talent Hotel. She's like, all right, well, you said that the only reason you were there before was because you could afford it. So why are you here now? And he messaged her, or he tweeted her publicly and was like, oh, you stupid cunt, come find me. I'm not there. So she went and found him and filmed herself, her feet, walking up to him and him turning around and walking away. Posted a picture of him walking away after he had done all that. He tries to play the victim. He's like, you're filming my kid and Sean put you up to it. Man, I would not wish his presence on anybody ever. Guy's been suspended from Twitter a ton of times and a ton of different accounts. He's got to use 2 or 3 different ones because he says so much hateful shit. I would not wish his presence on anybody, period, much less a close friend of mine. So no, that wasn't the case. And no, nobody was filming your kid. Nobody came to confront you because your kid was there and they thought that you wouldn't do it and you weren't afraid of getting deported or anything like that. Just stop being Uncle Rico and talking about how you were going to throw a fucking football over the mountains. Nobody cares. But I'll tell you what you did do. You did walk up to Ryan Satin, who was very clearly dressed for work and headed that way with your kid and your friends and a camera, to try to be a tough guy. Ryan, who is never, you can like him or dislike him, he has never been like that. He has never been a physically confrontational type of person, period. Won't post the video because there are a number of homophobic slurs in said video, and that's why he won't do it, because he ended up looking really, really bad doing that. But WWPR let me know that they banned him and that he will never be in a media room. Sorry, I guess all of us woke pussies and got to take it over. But that is the last time I will address Billy Bhatti on this show or any of my shows, because he knows that without relevant people, he's not relevant. That's why he latched onto Disco and Conan, because nobody would listen to his stuff otherwise. That's why he always talks trash about Will or Denise or me or Brian Zane or Raj or anybody that other people actually listen to, agree with, disagree with, because he can't do it on his own. He can't just do the work. And all the wrestlers that he name dropped, I've hit up and I say, do you fuck with this guy? And they all say no. There's a reason why no wrestlers ever come to his defense. They never say, I fuck with this guy. He's an all right guy, because he's not an all right guy. Maybe there's something wrong with him. I know that he purposely, maliciously, and intentionally lies. But maybe there's something, not all there with him, and hope that gets better, because, God, it's got to be a nightmare for anybody that deals with him interpersonally. And the only way he can get any attention is by saying, well, I'm going to beat you all up. You're woke pussies. All right, whatever that fucking means. Oh, brother.